have to find out. Okay, Michael, when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Michael Deisbeck, and my project is entitled Engineering in the Fast Lane. I chose my topic due to my interest in NASCAR, cars, and the career goals that I have for myself. My research was based on the safety enhancements that have been made in NASCAR over the years and evaluating where there is room. Though the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing has taken numerous steps to ensure the safety of their drivers, some are still getting hurt. In the 2015 NASCAR Xfinity Series opener at Daytona International Speedway, Kyle Busch, teammate to Eric Jones, was utilizing a method known as bump drafting near the end of the event. The way bump drafting works is the driver in the back, i.e. in this case Kyle Busch, literally bumps into the back bumper of the person in front of him. In an attempt to gain some momentum, Kyle then backed up to the driver behind him, who then bumped him, giving him more of a run into the back of his teammate. Jones, being a rookie, was not prepared for the hit that he just took and then lost control of his car. Kyle Busch, in an attempt to maneuver around his spinning teammate, then lost control of his car, sliding through the infield grass, unable to scrub up any speed. He then came into contact with this concrete wall head-on, where his car then ricocheted into this position where it is sitting there in this picture. He broke his right leg and fractured his left ankle. Even NASCAR's most popular driver for the last 14 years straight is not immune to injury. Due to crashes at Dover International Speedway and Michigan International Speedway last June, he Jr. Had a furthering of concussion symptoms that took him out of 18 of the 36 events last season in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. NASCAR has made numerous improvements over the years, one of the most notable being the steel and foam energy reduction barrier, better known as the safer barrier. This was an enhancement that is primarily in this section, with this being the previously existing outside retaining wall. This is similar to the wall that Kyle Busch came into contact to, just a plain old concrete wall. The safer barrier helps to absorb the impact of a crash when a car comes into contact with it. This helps to reduce the amount of energy that is then released on the driver in the event of a crash. Another safety enhancement is the Hans device, seen here highlighted in blue. This head and neck restraint system helps hold the head and neck in place in the event of a crash. If with the absence of the Hans device, you can see here in this right-hand picture that the neck and spine are then have an increased chance of injury due to the lunging forward when the car comes into contact with another car or wall. With NASCAR's safety enhancements over the years, they have done a plausible job. The last time a NASCAR driver passed away in a NASCAR National Touring Series event crash was in the 2001 Daytona 500 with Dale Earnhardt Sr. So my internship was split up into two sections. The first half was with Johnny Davis Motorsports, a NASCAR Xfinity Series team based out of Gaffney, South Carolina. My mentor was Mr. Brian Berry, seen here barely in the picture, talking to a NASCAR official while this was during the inspection process. I was with the team able to see how they went through practice, inspection, qualifying, and then the race itself. I was able to mingle with the drivers, meet other NASCAR officials, and work with the team. Here's an example of what the pit crew for this team does each week with a pit stop at Bristol Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, the driver of the car you just saw there, Ross Chastain, ended up crashing out of the event after a late race incident with Regan Smith. The second half of my internship was with Ms. Becky Miller, a senior research engineer at the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety here in Bristol. The first reason I came into contact with Ms. Miller was because I was unable to schedule an interview with my original mentor, Mr. Brian Berry, due to travel and the rigor of the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule. Ms. Miller allowed me to interview her, go through different things that related to my project itself, including the relation of street cars to NASCAR and where there's room for where there's correlation between the two to enhance safety for regular drivers as well as NASCAR drivers. Miss Miller also gave me a tour of the facility and invited me back to see a crash test. On this day, back in February, Miss Miller was the crash coordinator for the event, meaning that she is in charge of the checklist and going through what exactly has to be done before the crash test can go off. This makes sure that all of the sensors are in place, that the vehicle that runs into the side of the vehicle being tested is ready, and that nothing is left untouched. On this day, they were doing the side impact test of a 2017 Chevrolet Colorado Crew Cab, pictured here. Though the results have not been released yet due to other crash tests that need to occur with other small pickup trucks, Ms. Miller believes that this will earn a rating of good. For my community service, it is overseen by Officer Jason Tooley and Mr. Jimmy Shiplet of the San Antonio Volunteer Fire Department. My community service will be taking place on April 28th, the day before William Henry High School's prom. The way that my community service is going to work is it is going to have a staged crash featuring high-profile students from within the school, such as Sam Burnell and Cameron McCain, who will help to demonstrate how nobody is safe from a crash. Distracted driving can impact anybody, and though a lot of teenagers probably think, I can text, I've got this, I'm a master, you're not. It can happen to anybody can crash, anybody can be injured. Acting as my legacy, Prom Promise 2017 bracelets will be distributed amongst attendees, which will consist of seniors and juniors from the high school. Here, pictured here is Officer Conley, the school resource officer here at William Monroe. Here I was just showing him an example of a poster that I had drafted up as a way for advertising the event. Through this experience, I learned that my aspirations hold true. First and foremost, I would like to become a crew chief at the NASCAR's top level, which has just been rebranded as the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Although, due to my internship, I did learn that I wouldn't put it past myself. As much as I want out of green, I wouldn't put it past myself to come back here to green and work at the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety should the right opportunity arise. My advice for future Burbick seniors is to be mindful of deadlines. They are everywhere, they're hidden, and although you think that you have time to get them done, you don't. You have to be proactive. Procrastination, I realize procrastination is an overused example, but procrastination is definitely visible amongst your senior year. So you have to be mindful of getting those journals done, being aware of when internship things are due, being aware of when community service has to be done, your interview. So you just have to be really mindful of when your deadlines are approaching and what you're going to do about making sure that you check off everything. This fall, I'll be attending the University of North Carolina at Charlotte to dual major in mechanical engineering, because there's nothing finer than a 49er. Thank you. Any questions?
Self-driving cars is something that I've been hearing a lot about. I wondered if you came across any information about that along your research or during your internship.
Well, not necessarily correlated to NASCAR. Yes, self-driving cars are becoming more of a popular thing. Obviously, self-driving cars wouldn't happen in NASCAR. That would delete the effect of having a favorite driver. But with self-driving cars, I suppose that you could use like lane departure warning and whatnot in NASCAR, but with the way that those drivers move around, it wouldn't do them any good.
So, like, obviously, when they're like getting the tires changed and everything, they have the pit stop. Like, it happens really fast. So, how do they ensure that like the drivers that they've done everything correctly and that the driver's going to be safe when they get back out on the track?
The pit crew members practice like every day of the week. They go through the routine numerous times to make sure that they hit all 5 elements, that they have the tires on right, that they work when putting the gas can in, working on different adjustments such as the track bar, which was in that video, or making a wedge adjustment. So they're used to this. Sometimes you'll see things go off with a hitch, but for the most part, they know what they're doing. They're professionals. Most of the pit crew members are actually former college athletes. Many of them don't actually finish their degrees. They're enticed by the pay that comes out of being a NASCAR pit crew member. Unfortunately, being in that field is a short-lived thing because of the rigor of jumping over the wall, hitting your knees, fast motions. So it ends up, it can come back to haunt them, but a lot of them are things that they've seen.
Oh, yeah. In your research for trying to prevent future injury in NASCAR, did you consider any rule changes about how the drivers drive?
Well, there's not necessarily like what you can do with like to like necessarily limit drivers getting hurt. There are some things like NASCAR, I believe last year was that they made there was a thing in the past when it was drafting where
Right.
where instead of bump drafting where you bump, they literally can lock on bumpers and then push, and that gains more momentum, pushes drivers farther out ahead. And so when you had those high speeds, it could result in more higher risk for injury in those crashes. And so NASCAR did mandate that if you're caught like locked drafting, then they will black flag you. You have to.
That seems like a sensible rule change, but.
Yes, I guess. So, are you able to tell us a little bit more about the thing involving the students, the simulation that you're going to be doing?
Well, it's going to be a stage crash. It'll likely happen in this parking lot back here. What will happen is we'll bring in, it'll simulate like an actual crash just occurred. So you will have the seniors and juniors that are present. I realize it's senior trip that day as well. But you will have the seniors and juniors will be back here, and then it will have a stage crash. They will initially have covered. I presume that they will initially have like tarps over as if somebody died in the crash, and then they will have rescue response teams staged over at the volunteer fire department, who will then come in as if they were timing like how from the distance that they did come in. Because according to Mr. Jimmy Shiplett, he was also hoping to get like volunteer firemen such as Dyke and Ruckersville involved.
Oh, yeah.
So they will already be staged at the standard school here, but they will come in later because they are coming from farther away.
The bracelets that you're handing out, like, are they saying anything?
They will say prom promise 2010. Any questions?
Okay, Michael, thank you.